Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Divergent Conversations in our collection of worn down and worthy, not your typical wellness. And today we are going to talk about play, which is kind of a continuation of our last conversation, which was creativity.
Yeah. So for context for listeners, we literally just recorded the creativity and we're still recording. And so we're probably still a little bit in some heaviness.
Mhm.
And one thought that just came into my head is I think if creativity helps us metabolize pain, among other things, I think play helps us hold it. I think it helps to hold the heavy, and that play can be so important in times like these. And at the same time, it can bring on a lot of guilt because it can be like, well, I shouldn't be laughing or playing or experiencing joy right now because do you see what is happening in the world? I
Yeah.
must be a shit person if I am experiencing any sort of positive emotion right now.
Yep. Yeah. And I know that we both kind of talked about this off air and how we've experienced that ourselves. And I know I experienced that for sure, where I'm like, how can I possibly take joy or find joy or experience playfulness when all of this horrific stuff is happening? Like we could go down, we're not going to go down a list of all the horrific things that are happening because it would
We don't
never
need to do
end. It
that.
would never end. And I think
And it
that's
would be outdated by the time this airs
I
in like 4
know.
weeks.
Yeah. By the time we post it, there would be 1,000 new atrocities, which is a whole different conversation. But if we don't allow for ourselves to find joy, even in these small moments or in these small like blips in our lives, I think that we've lost our humanity in a lot of ways too.
Mhm,
If we're not
mhm,
allowed to access playfulness and joy. And what did we referenced Unetta Smith, who's on the podcast
mhm,
before. I wish I could find that clip to reference exactly what she said
mhm,
in terms of like just black joy. She was talking about black joy and how
mhm,
important it is in terms of resistance and advocacy, and how you have to find these moments where you don't let other people take that away from you, and
mhm,
how important that
mhm.
is.
Yeah, yeah. If we could find that clip, I'd love to share it in our show notes because it was really powerful. And I think
Mhm.
she said something in there like, "Don't mistake our laughter for um, kind of not experiencing pain
Right,
or not doing advocacy."
right.
And I feel like she said something about like Black people have had to figure out how how to keep their aliveness and humanity
Mhm.
amidst so much oppression and suffering.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way she said it was obviously much better than either of us can try to recap it. But
Shout out to
it was,
Unetta.
yeah, it's that it is part of resistance. It is
It
part
is.
of resistance to hold on to our humanity in that way
Mhm.
through play, through lightness, through laughter, through joy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a different perspective. I think the suffering of white people sometimes and how we respond to things,
Hmm.
because we're so not used to like being the persecuted or the
Hmm.
people who need to resist or being threatened.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Hmm.
I would say like, you know, there are times with my wife and I where we talk about this, and she's like, don't confuse like my laughter and mood and the silliness and the things that I enjoy for not paying attention to what's happening around me, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm very aware, but I'm not going to let them take this from me. And I'm just like always like, damn, okay, I need to be a bit more resilient then.
Hmm. I love that. I'm not going to let them take this from me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I think a lot what white people have to learn from movements that have gone before us, especially
Yeah.
Black and brown movements, of if they've lived in oppressive systems that have been trying to take their humanity for a very long time, and they have found some very beautiful, powerful, creative rituals to hold on to their humanity.
Yeah.
And white people, we haven't figured that out yet because we're usually the ones taking humanity.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is like this concept that we're thinking about and talking about right now is a culmination of all of our episodes combined of like community, connection, creativity, everything swirled into one to be able to access playfulness, joyfulness, um,
Mm.
and just really having those experiences throughout your day or your week or your month.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
And
here's the
let's, oh, go
other
ahead.
side of the coin